It features Bert and Ernie from Sesame Street as they watch TV coverage of the Supreme Court's decisions on gay marriage. And as Michelle Franzen reports, the image is causing quite a buzz.
Aha! It's a tall, cool glass of unflavored soda water, Bert.
Yeah. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and the current cover of the New Yorker magazine, featuring Sesame Street's Bert and Ernie snuggling, definitely has people talking.
I think it's about time.
The rendering shows Bert and Ernie watching TV with the Supreme Court justices on screen. A nod to this week's landmark rulings giving same-sex marriage couples federal benefits and allowing same-sex marriages to resume in California.
It's basically saying, guess what, guys? We've been gay for a long time, but we never were able to say it.
The cover is once again putting Bert and Ernie at the center of the gay and lesbian rights debate.
Will you please write down a list?
No longer just likened to the Odd Couples, Oscar and Felix.
On the one hand, you can look at it like, well, you know, it doesn't really matter. On the other hand, you have some other people who would look at it like, this is disgusting.
The Sesame Workshop tells NBC News the company is not commenting on the New Yorker cover. But in 2011, when a petition circulated calling for Bert and Ernie to get married, the company spoke out on Facebook, describing Bert and Ernie as best friends who remain puppets and do not have a sexual orientation. On Twitter, there was support for keeping Bert and Ernie, well, puppets. One wrote, "I love gay marriage and I love Bert and Ernie, but I wish people would stop linking the two." Another wrote, "Bert and Ernie can't get married. Leave them alone. Love them or leave them." Experts say in this case, it is art imitating life.
Sesame Street is a hallmark of American culture. This rendering is interesting and it's saying that everybody has to progress, change, at least have the conversation.
For today, Michelle Franzen, NBC News, New York.
Well, magazine covers are meant to attract our attention. It worked.
And it's important, especially the New Yorker. They have a habit of that, don't they?
They do. Up next, high-tech appliances aimed at saving.
Okay, everybody, there you saw it. Okay, and what I wanted to say about this particular segment is also, remember the big brouhaha about the brother who did the Elmo voice and the allegations surrounding him being gay and having relationships with men. And I know that some of it was that he was harassing and everything, but they, you know, got rid of him. But there was a lot of stuff going on there as well. But also, there seems to be this whole atmosphere surrounding the show with the homosexual climate, you know, around Sesame Street apparently. But the biggest thing is children in that age group that watch Sesame Street are very impressionable, and you're trying to form young minds. They're supposed to be helping them to learn the basics and the foundations of education, socialization. And so they're trying to socialize them into areas that are better left to their parents. And to have just that one image with Ernie leaning on Bert's shoulder is just phenomenal. And just that just should not be done. If you're going to have that, it should not be with characters that are associated with children. This is not Family Guy, which is already bad enough, but this is not Family Guy. This is definitely linked to young impressionable children from, you know, toddler on up. This is why, parents, you really need to be careful what your children are watching and doing. You need to evaluate each and every episode of this show, because even up to this point, you don't know exactly what they have done. Because you remember, I mean, it was back in the day this show came on, and I don't know, and forgive me if I give about to give the wrong name, the Wiggles or something like that. And this little character, it might not be the Wiggles, forgive me. This character came out with that purse, the Tinky Winky or some crap like that, and it was the first time one of the characters, and we didn't know was it a boy or a girl, but then they were like, it's okay that it carries a purse and all this mess. But we assumed at first that the character was a boy. Everybody kind of knew that. It was kind of a controversy, but they were saying that it was okay that he carried a purse. You know? They were introducing it then. You know? But I'm just going to say this. Listen, when I and my husband were raising my son, we raised him to be a boy. Okay? He was modeled after my husband to be a boy. There are things that I nurtured him and taught him as a mother, but when he got a certain age, he hung out with dad more because, you know, I was no longer breastfeeding him. I was, you know, I didn't coddle him, you know, as far as like he could cry and whatever, and I would nurture him, and it was okay. But I didn't just let him be any more than my girls, you know, because I had to toughen them up for the world. I had to prepare my children for the world. But I would not let my children be exposed to this kind of nonsense. And my grandchildren are the same. I tell my grandchildren the same thing. Just like I'm telling you right now, you need to be careful what goes into your children's mind. But my kids played outside. They had some outside time, you know. And I taught my children to read and write their names at home. When they got to school, they were ready for kindergarten. You know, they didn't have to be, the teacher didn't have to spend time to teach my children to know how to sit down, know how to behave, know how to raise your hand, know how to shut your mouth, and all these kind of things. They were well behaved when they got to school. So there was not time wasted in doing those things. So socialization skills, identification skills as well were already there as well. My girls knew that they were girls. My son knew that he was a boy. He knew that he identified with his father. He knew that mommy was a girl and that his sister was a girl and that he was different. I've always told my children the truth, you know, about the differences. And I started when they were young. And you need to start when they're young. There are a lot of psychologists that act like children are going to be traumatized if you tell them truth. Answer their questions in their little age groups, but you need, when they ask you a question, you need to answer them. And you need to tell them the truth straight away, because if you don't, these people on this TV are going to fill their head with a bunch of nonsense and put a different truth in their head. And now we have these subcultures coming along, and people are acting like, oh, you know, yeah, you're gonna love your child. We got them like, but it's my son, and I love her. It's my son, and I love her. Yeah, it's, you know, I'm gonna say this too, and you can say all you want to say to me. That would be my son, but I don't know how I would feel about that. I'm not going to say that I'm going to be happy about that crap if my son would have come up to me and said that he was gay and all this kind of stuff and that he loved men. I'm not going to be happy about that. I'm a woman, and I had a son, and I raised him to be a son. My son is a hard man, you know, and he's married. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm not going to be happy about it. I would be very disappointed. I would be humiliated. I would be heartbroken. I would be devastated. I would be disgusted. I would be confused. I would be some kind of way about it because I honestly, I'm going to be very honest with you. I would not take that well at all. And I would not be able to look at my son the same way. My daughter either, if she was come along and tell me some stuff like that. And kudos to you all that say that you could. Good for you. Good for you. If you got that spirit over you and you can say that, good for you. But I'm just being honest with you. I can't do. I know. I couldn't take that very well. But I'm glad that you can. You know, and I don't have no problem dealing with people in the homosexual community. I could work with you and all of that, but I don't want my children to have to go through that or deal with that, and I raised them in a manner as to which they could identify with what they were when they came into the earth. That's just the way I am. That's the way I raised them. That's their DNA structure. That's the how their bodies are made. They're anatomically correct in that manner, and that's the way that I raised them, and that's the way that they are. Now, for those of you who aren't like that, that's your choice. That's your choice. That's your liking. But I'm just being honest with you right now. I wouldn't take that well. My family wouldn't take that well. You know? And I'm really being honest with you. It just wouldn't work for me. It would not work for me. Wouldn't. And it's a lot of people on this earth that won't. And then you got the homosexual community, lesbians, gays, bis, trans, and all the rest. And hey, you're good. You do what you want to do. But now you're coming on the attack and telling the rest of us that, okay, you don't like us, so you're going to bully the hell out of us because we don't want to deal with you. So who's the bully? Who's the bully? Trans and gays and lesbians and everything are the bullies of the earth now. Because you don't accept the fact that you don't want to be bothered with you. I mean, why is it that the rest of us have to accept your agenda? You're pushing yourselves down the rest of our throats, and it's not fair. We want our children to be what we want our children to be. Furthermore, men can't have children. A man has never went through 9 months of pregnancy, but yet they're adopting children. Go figure, you know? At least a lesbian can give birth. It's so many issues and variables there. You want everything. You just want everything. And then you want to lord things over people. You know, you want to you want economic power, you want social power, you want, you know, you're the bullies of the earth now. Let's just face it. You got a real mean spirit about you going around now, but you just want to stand up there and act like, oh, we're being bullied, and we're going to hide behind the Civil Rights Amendment and everything that blacks have gone through. You know, we're the ones that are being discriminated against. But you know what? You can go and assimilate right on into your culture, but you're not going to ever feel what blacks are feeling. You're never going to feel all of that. It's one of those things. But you got the laws on your side right now because it's a lot of people that are on the down low and are still in the closet that are behind you. But that nasty little pendulum that's swinging on a high right now is going to swing the other way. Just wait for it.